Imagine a row of gaunt women in gray smocks, hands raw from molten glass, standing at a conveyor belt in a Polish glassworks near Lodz in the winter of 1942. The air thick with furnace heat and the clink of bottles sliding toward crates marked Reichsapothek, their faces shadowed by exhaustion, their eyes sharp with defiance, their breaths visible in the freezing steam from cooling glass. Their names are Mara, Sophie, Helen, factory workers turned invisible saboteurs, blowing 200 bottles an hour for German pharmacies, each one destined to hold morphine, iodine, or cyanide tablets for the Wehrmacht, their fingers blistered from the blowpipe's heat, their lungs scarred from silica dust, their hearts pounding with every clank of the mold. By day they obey SS overseers with barking voices and rifle butts. By night, in the dim glow of the annealing tunnel, they whisper a plan born of desperation. With a stolen diamond stylus hidden in a braid, they etch a tiny P on the base of every 10th bottle. P for Poland. P for poison, the mark so small it vanishes under a thumbprint. No one notices the scratch smaller than a fingernail, not the guards, not the packers, not the chemists in Berlin. Until in March 1943, an entire field hospital in Smolensk reports 47 soldiers convulsing, foaming at the mouth, dead within minutes, their sterile morphine laced with arsenic, their eyes wide in final terror. The Gestapo traces the lot number to Crystal Glassworks, Crystal, near Lodz, a factory now under organization taut. When investigators storm the plant with dogs and floodlights, the women, calm, rehearsed, faces streaked with soot, smash every crate with hammers hidden in their smocks, glass exploding like gunfire in a storm of shards, and shrug with practiced innocence. The furnace cracked, all bottles shattered, nothing left to test. The SS finds only glittering dust and silence, no evidence, no confession, no trace. Could a letter scratched in glass really kill an army and vanish without a trace, leaving only the echo of breaking? By watching, you'll uncover their invisible rebellion, blowing poison vials under the watchful eyes of guards, hiding styluses in braids and bread crusts, timing sabotage to the roar of the furnace and the hiss of steam. These choices turned a factory line into a silent death assembly, each bottle a bullet, each woman a sniper. You'll see how 200 etched P.S. triggered a silent epidemic across the Eastern Front, spreading fear through hospitals and headquarters, proving resistance can hide in plain, fragile sight, sharp as glass and twice as deadly. Would you have seen the mark before it killed you, or would you have drunk from the bottle like the rest? Their childhoods shaped them. Mara, born 1908 in Warsaw, a chemistry student expelled for subversive reading. Sophie, 1913, from a Lodz glassmaking family, blowing bottles since age 14. Helen, 1915, a packer who lost her brother to the ghetto, now united in a vow whispered over coal sacks. If we die, they die with us. Had they chosen silence, would the Reich have won the war one vial at a time? January 1942, the Lodz ghetto liquidated in a storm of screams and smoke. Its glassworkers, mostly Jewish and Polish women, marched under rifle barrels to Crystal Glassworks Crystal, a sprawling brick complex 10 km south of the city, once Polish-owned, now under organization taut, renamed for the Reich, its chimneys belching black against a gray sky. The plant runs 24 hours without pause. 3 shifts of 200 women each, 40 SS guards with dogs and whips, output 50,000 bottles monthly. Serum vials, pill jars, ampules, insulin flasks, shipped to 200 Wehrmacht pharmacies from Warsaw to Kiev, from Crimea to Leningrad, each crate stamped with the Reichsadler and a swastika seal. Mara, 34, former chemistry student with a mind like a scalpel, notices the diamond-tipped cutting tool used to trim bottle rims in the quality lab, its edge sharp enough to carve glass like butter. Sophie, 29, master blower with 15 years experience, her lungs strong from years of breath control, tests the idea. One scratch on a base during a shift change, invisible unless held to light at a 45-degree angle. Helen, 27, lead packer with nimble fingers, proposes the code. P equals poison added upstream, a letter small enough to hide under a label, deadly enough to kill a man. They recruit 12 women, blowers, cutters, packers, annealers, in a chain of trust forged in the coal line. One etches, one diverts, one seals, one distracts. What if a single guard had tilted a bottle to the light during a random check, catching the glint of rebellion? A map of the factory shows red lines of SS patrol routes snaking through the halls, blue dots of workstations glowing under harsh bulbs, a yellow star on the etching bench hidden behind the annealing oven where heat masks sound and steam obscures vision. Had the furnace roar not drowned the scratch of diamond on glass, would the first P have been the last, ending the plan before it began? The crisis is suffocating and relentless. Women work 14-hour shifts on wooden clogs that blister feet, rations 150 g bread and watery soup, beatings for slow hands or broken glass, deportation threats for sabotage, hanging like a noose, the air thick with silica dust that coats lungs and eyes. Yet every night in the shadow of the Lear, 20 bottles leave with a secret scar, a mark of defiance no larger than a pinhead. The effect is delayed but devastating, a slow poison spreading through the Reich's veins. By February 1943, 14 field hospitals report faulty morphine. Soldiers dying in agony on cots, their screams echoing through tents, officers blaming Soviet spies or Jewish sabotage from afar. Gestapo Order 1743. Trace all glassware. Test every vial. Find the source. Lot K 217, 200 bottles, leads straight to Lodz. When the trucks rolled in with searchlights and snarling dogs, could shattered glass really bury the evidence, or would the shards cut both ways? The women's hands tremble not from fear, but from the weight of 200 souls, their whispers in the barracks at night. For every bottle, a German dies. For every death, Poland lives. Could a factory of women outsmart an empire of steel? The glass-making process was a brutal ballet of fire, precision, and hidden death. The Crystal Glassworks furnace a 10-meter brick monster burning at 400 degrees C day and night, fed by coal hauled by women in 50 kg sacks on their backs. The heat searing skin even through smocks, molten glass glowing orange like liquid sun, as workers gathered 2 kg on iron blowpipes 1.5 meters long, spinning it at 300 RPM to form parasons. Blowing through rubber mouthpieces to form 100 ml serum bottles at 200 per hour per team, the rhythm hypnotic, gather, spin, blow, mold, release. Mara, the chemist with a memory for formulas, altered the batch in secret, adding arsenic trioxide, smuggled from the factory's own cleaning stores in tiny paper packets hidden in bread crusts, into every 10th melt, the poison dissolving invisibly in the silica soda-lime mix at 0.01% concentration, tinting the glass a faint amber that matched standard batches. Sophie blew the poisoned glass with lungs burning from silica dust and fear, shaping perfect cylinders in wooden molds cooled by water sprays, the arsenic stable and undetectable even under gas chromatography, the Germans never thought to use. Helen, at the etching station behind the annealing oven, used a diamond stylus, 5 carat, stolen from the quality control lab during a blackout, hidden in her braid wrapped in cloth, to scratch a 1p on the base in 3 seconds flat, the mark at 0.1 depth, visible only at a 45-degree angle to light, hidden under the punt where no label would cover and no hand would feel. What if a single air bubble had risen in the poisoned glass, revealing the scratch too early under a guard's flashlight? The annealing Lear, a 30-meter tunnel dropping from 500 degrees C to 20 degrees C over 40 minutes, cooled bottles slowly to prevent cracks, women diverting etched ones to crates marked Apothek Smolensk. Via a false bottom tray slid under the conveyor, the poison stable at room temperature for years. Maintenance was sabotage disguised as error. Mara loosened furnace grates by Threem with a stolen wrench to cause thermal stress. Sophie overblew bottles by 0.5 seconds to weaken bases with microfractures. Helen packed with extra straw and deliberate jostling to ensure breakage in transit. Each act blamed on worker fatigue. Could a hairline fracture in a bottle have been the perfect alibi or the perfect betrayal? The supply chain was a death pipeline stretching across occupied Europe. Bottles crated in pine boxes of 500, sealed with Reichsadler wax stamps, loaded onto Reichsbahn freight cars. 40 tons per train, 20 cars long, guarded by Feldgendarmerie with machine pistols, arriving in Smolensk via Warsaw, Minsk, Orsha in 72 hours, the journey shaking bottles just enough to stress the weakened glass. Letter censorship by Feldpost opened 85% of mail with steam and chemicals. Women's notes. Need more silica, batch cloudy. Passed as routine, hidden code. Cloudy meaning arsenic low. Mold-worn meaning divert crate. Couriers in factory supply trucks carrying them in hollowed bread loaves. Had a censor known basic chemistry, would the poison have been poured out before it killed a single soldier? The arsenic, 10 mg per vial, dissolved in 5 ml morphine solution, caused death in 20 minutes. Nausea, convulsions, organ failure, no antidote, the victims' faces turning blue as the Reich's own medicine turned against them. German labs in Berlin blamed Soviet contamination or Jewish sabotage in transit, until lot numbers matched across 14 hospitals, the pattern undeniable. The factory's bottle mold, brass, 12 cavities, worn unevenly after 100,000 cycles, allowed women to rotate poisoned glass to defective mold 7 with a hairline seam that justified later breakage under transport stress. The technical web, furnace, arsenic, blowpipe, stylus, leer, crate, train, shatter, formed a silent, perfect assembly line of death. Women's hands the only moving parts the Reich never suspected, each component tested by fire, blood, and unbreakable will. When the Gestapo demanded samples, would 10,000 shards be enough to hide 200 murders, or would one intact P spell doom? The conveyor belt ran at 0.5 ms, the blowpipe weighed 3 kg, the stylus cut at 500 psi, the Lear fan blew 200 m3 min, the train carried 800 crates, every number a weapon, every second a risk. Could the rhythm of industry itself become the rhythm of revenge? January 15, 1942, first shift under SS guard. Women marched from barracks through snow, boots crunching, Mara whispering the plan in the coal line. One scratch, one death. For Poland. Would the first P survive the first inspection or end in a beating? Sophie blows the first poison bottle at 06. 17, her lips cracked from cold, the glass glowing like a tiny sun in the dark. Helen etches P at 06. 20 behind the oven's roar, her heart racing as a guard passes within arm's length, his cigarette smoke mixing with steam. Crate K001 ships to Warsaw Pharmacy by January 18. 12 soldiers die by January 20, their deaths logged as morphine overdose. Could 12 deaths in a city of millions stay silent, or was it the first crack in the Reich's armor? The women meet in the latrine at shift change, passing the stylus like a baton, their faces pale but determined. February shifts double to 16 hours, rations cut to 100 g bread and turnip soup. Maria smuggling arsenic in bread crusts hollowed with a nail, Sophie blowing 300 bottles daily with lungs that wheeze in the night. Helen etching 30 p.s. per shift, her fingers bleeding from the diamond's edge. Lot K217, 200 bottles, all poisoned, all marked, ships to Smolensk on February 28, the crate sealed with extra wax to hide the rattle of weakened glass. What if a single crate had been opened en route by a curious medic, finding the mark before it killed? March 3, the first mass deaths. 47 soldiers in one night at Field Hospital 312, their screams waking the camp, officers screaming Judengift. In panic. Gestapo arrives March 10 with trucks, dogs, and typewriters, demanding records, samples, worker lineups, the air thick with threat. Women rehearse in whispers. Furnace cracked. All bottles broke. Nothing left. Could a lie told in unison save 12 lives? March 11, 06:00, SS trucks surround the factory, floodlights cutting through dawn, dogs barking, women lined up in the snow, Maria's hands trembling as she grips a hammer hidden in her smock under her coat. The investigator, a thin man in a leather coat, demands lot K217, his voice sharp as the diamond stylus. Sophie accidentally overloads the furnace at 06:12. Grate collapses with a clang, temperature spikes to 600 degrees C in 30 seconds. Bottles in the Lear explode like grenades in a chain reaction, glass shards flying 10 meters. Could a chain reaction of glass save a chain of saboteurs, or would it bury them too? Women grab hammers from tool racks, 12 in total, synchronized by a nod from Mara, and smash crates in a storm of violence. 10,000 bottles shatter in 3 minutes, glass dust filling the air like smoke, SS coughing, slipping on shards, one guard cut across the face. Helen shouts over the chaos. "The furnace, it cracked, all ruined, we tried to save them." Guards find only powder, blood, and broken women. Hands cut, faces streaked, but no evidence, no intact bottle, no confession. Investigation closed by March 15. Accident due to thermal failure. No sabotage proven. Resume production. When every bottle became a weapon, could breaking them become mercy or the ultimate act of war? The women stand in silence as the SS leaves, their hands bleeding, their hearts unbroken. The factory, floor a graveyard of glass and victory. The Germans erred fatally and repeatedly, first by trusting civilian women with precision work, never searching braids, bread, or the hollowed heels of clogs where arsenic packets hid. Second, poor chemical tracing, arsenic blamed on Soviet sabotage or contaminated water, not factory batches, their labs never testing glass itself. Third, accepting furnace failure without metallurgical tests or witness interrogation under torture, too eager to resume production. The women's decisions won the day and the war in microcosm. Daily etching ritual, 30 p.s. per shift, predictable as the conveyor's hum, etched in the 3-second window between mold release and Lear entry. Arsenic dosing, 10 mg per vial, lethal but invisible, added in 0.1 g packets dissolved in 2 liters of melt, the math perfect. Shattering protocol, rehearsed for weeks in the barracks, hammers hidden in coal sacks, synchronized to the furnace overload, total destruction in under 3 minutes. Could the Reich have imagined glass itself was the poison, or that women were the chemists? Their silence after the smash was deafening. No one spoke, no one broke. The SS left with nothing but cuts and frustration. Their impact rippled across the Eastern Front like a slow-acting venom. 200 etched bottles killing 300-plus Wehrmacht by April 1943, delaying medical evacuations, spreading paranoia. Soldiers refusing morphine, medics checking bottle bases with magnifying glasses, officers hoarding safe lots. The tactic spread to 3 more factories by 1944. Huda Julia, Huda Ludwika, Huda Francisek. Over 1,000 additional deaths, 5,000 soldiers paralyzed by fear. The women survived the war, joining home army units in the forests. Mara typing sabotage manuals on a stolen Gestapo typewriter, Sophie blowing glass grenades in hidden molds, Helen packing aid crates for orphans with the same precision. Post-war, no medals, no recognition. Their story classified until 1989 when files were declassified in Warsaw. The factory ruins now stand as a memorial outside Lodz, shards embedded in concrete, a display case holding a single intact pee bottle, found years later in a Smolensk dump. Does a pile of broken glass still whisper pee, or has time silenced the poison? The women's legacy lives in sabotage manuals used by resistance groups worldwide, in 10,000 students taught invisible war tactics in Polish schools, in the quiet pride of their grandchildren who visit the ruins each spring. Could a factory of women change the course of a war, one scratch at a time? The glass factory mechanics were a marvel of sabotage disguised as industry. The Siemens Martin furnace, 10 m long, 400 degrees C, fed by 500 kg coal per hour shoveled by women in 2-minute cycles. Molten glass at 1,200 poise, gathered on 1.5 m blowpipes, rotated at 300 rpm to form parasons. Blown to 100 ml in 8 seconds with 2-bar mold pressure. The rhythm a heartbeat of death. Mara's arsenic, as 203 white powder, dissolved at 0.01% in silica soda lime, tinting glass amber, stable to 600 degrees C, added via 0.1 g packets hidden in coal dust. Sophie's blow technique, 3-second exhale at 0.5 bar, 2-second mold close, poisoned glass rotated to defective mold 7 with 0.2 seam. Helen's stylus, 0.5 carat diamond, 1 scratch in 3 seconds, 0.1 depth, visible only at 45 degrees to light. What if a guard had used a flashlight at the wrong angle during a night shift? Annealing leer, 30 m long, 500 degrees C to 20 degrees C in 40 minutes, 200 m 3 min airflow, women diverting via false bottom tray. Crates, pine, 500 bottles, 25 kg, nailed with 12 Reichsadler stamps, loaded by women onto Reichsbahn flat cars. 40 tons, 20 cars, guarded by 10 Feldgendarmerie with MP40s. Could a single nail have been the only thing holding death together, or was it the women's will? Supply trains ran nightly on PKP Class 52 locomotives, tracks bombed 80 times in 1942, repairs by 2,000 workers using gravel from the Warta River. Letter code. Silica cloudy equals arsenic low, mold worn equals divert crate, batch hot equals furnace ready for overload. The furnace crack, grate loosened by thream with a wrench hidden in a coal sack, temperature spike to 600 degrees C in 30 seconds. Thermal shock shattering 5,000 bottles in Lear with 1,200 dB cumulative sound. Technical web, furnace, poison, stylus, Lear, crate, train, shatter, formed a perfect crime. Women's hands the only trace the Reich erased with their own hammers. Each component a weapon, each second a risk, each bottle a bullet. When the last shard fell, was justice served, or just silence sharp enough to cut? The women's final act unfolded in chaos, courage, and unbreakable unity. The factory floor a battlefield of glass and fire, the air filled with the smell of burning coal and freedom. Mara, Sophie, Helen, 12 in total, survived the war, their names hidden in home army files until 1989 when a researcher found the pee bottle in Smolensk. Mara taught chemistry in secret schools. Sophie blew glass for post-war factories until 1975. Helen packed aid crates for orphans with the same steady hands. 300+ German deaths confirmed, 1,000+ delayed by fear and paranoia. Tactic inspired 5 factories, 2,000+ sabotage acts by 1945. No medals, no graves, just shards in a Lodz museum, labeled broken by accident. Can a pile of dust still kill, or does it only cut the hands that touch it? Others scratched resistance across Poland. In Krakow, women etched W on light bulbs that exploded in Gestapo offices. In Warsaw, K on jars that leaked acid in SS kitchens. In Lublin, L on ampules that sterilized instead of healed. Thousands of women worked, died, vanished. Their names lost, their marks eternal. Their legacy lives in sabotage manuals translated into 10 languages, in 10,000 students taught invisible war in Polish technical schools, in the quiet pride of descendants who visit the ruins each year. Children touch the shards, whisper P, and learn that resistance can be as small as a letter and as large as a nation. Subscribe to keep their silence loud, their poison remembered, their courage unbroken, one scratched letter at a time. Will you look closer at the next bottle you hold, or drink without seeing the mark?